I don't know my biological father. Me and my mom, like, we joke around. He was just like the sperm donor. He was just kind of like there. I've never met him physically. He left when I was 1. Through like the last year and a half, 2 of my life, which have been probably like the worst, I was in like a rebellious state that I wanted to know who he was. And my mom helped me, and she was like, this is who he is. And I saw a picture of him, and I was like, that's not what I expected. That's like, he doesn't look like anything as to what I imagined. After I saw that, like, he was living with 2 of his other daughters, like, a little bit of jealousy came in. In May of this year, I actually called him. I called him and we talked, and I, like, kind of was, like, bitching at him. I was mad. I was upset. I was enraged. There were so many, like, negative emotions going to this man, because it was like, after fucking 19 years, I have to come and look for you. Like, you didn't even have the balls to ever, like, contact me or nothing. I went and looked for you. And we had I think it was a 19-minute conversation. And I went and told my mom. She's like, how long was the call? I was like, 19 minutes. That's a minute for every year that he was not in your life. And, like, she made that little comparison. I was like, that's crazy. Like, I really just talked to this man for 19 minutes. Bitched at him, basically. Like, I got all my anger out, and he, like, wasn't giving me anything. Like, he wasn't really responding to any of my questions or anything along those lines. So I kind of, like, gave up. I was like, you know what, I don't really want to talk to him. I tried to keep up a conversation with him like a week or 2 after, and it just never worked out. I was like, you know what, I don't want to talk to this man. It's a waste of my time. It's such a hard question to get out, because it's like, after so many years, you're kind of like, how do I ask that question? How do I word it so it doesn't seem like I want to really know? I kind of just blurted it out. I was like, why the fuck you leave? Like, and it was in Spanish, so I'm like yelling at this man. I'm like, why the fuck did you leave? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, and after all this time, you don't even, like, say a happy birthday. You don't send any gifts. You don't send anything. Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, okay, you know what? When I got my answer, I was like, it's not what I wanted to hear. Because my mom told me the truth. Like, there was abuse on his part to my mother and financial problems, but he was just like, no, there was some financial problems, and me and your mom were just not getting along well. And I was like, how come my mom's gonna give me, like, the clear description of what you did and how, like, addicted you were to these drugs, and you can't even tell me the truth? Like, you have to, like, sugarcoat it and, like, be so mysteriously and, like, quote-unquote, like, nonchalant about it. Like, just kind of like, yeah, it happened. And I was like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, if I'm calling you, it's because I need answers. Like, I'm looking for answers, and you're not giving me shit. So that's all I asked him. I was like, why the fuck you leave? And he gave me, like, some of the worst, like, answers. And no matter what I added to the question to, like, even, like, move it to, like, the other side and still ask the same question, he just kept, like, financial problems, and me and your mom weren't getting along. And I was like, you know what, I'm done wasting my time. Like, I felt like I wasted 20 minutes, actually 20 minutes of my life, like, trying to talk to this man. But after I was done, I felt this, like, relief, like, this mental, like, there was always, like, a noise in my brain, like a little buzz. And the second that I, like, finished talking to him, like, it disappeared. Like, my mind was actually quiet. Like, thankfully he was tall. I would have been real upset if I was a little short. My biological father, he's 6'1". I'm 6 foot, so I was like, you know what, at least he gave me the height. I was born in Colombia. I had seen my mom come a year before me, so, like, at the age of 4 or 5, like, I didn't really have my mom there. My mom had me at 23, so my mom's still relatively really young. A year and a half later, she's like, okay, everything's ready. Like, you got your visa, you could come. The man that met me here was my stepdad. I had not met him, but that man is my father. Like, he really is the one that showed me what it is to be a man, like, what it is to be somebody. And obviously, he was the first person I saw when I got to the States. I literally am running up to him because I see him with a balloon, and I was like, this man looks so familiar. And as I'm running, somebody comes and tackles me, and that's my mom. There's a picture of her, like, tackling me. It's hilarious. Like, I had just seen it not too long ago, and she comes in and tackles me in, and that was, like, my first time being here. We were dating for 3 years, and after that, I kind of, like, started, like, spiraling down into with the wrong people, with the wrong things. I started doing, like, drugs. like I had tried drugs before. I had a moment of like doing oxy. Oxy was something that I got for a surgery, and I was able to get an extra like 60, and I never used them. And one day I saw them in my like sink. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Eat 3 a day. And it was just popping, popping, popping. Like it was nothing. Like I didn't want to be myself. And it got to the point that I one day did cooking an edible and popped an oxy, and I had like probably like the worst human experience. Like I felt like I shrunk, and I was around all my friends and they were all happy, and I was just kind of like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing? And after that, I like told my friends, I was like, guys, I've been doing this shit. I need to stop. Like, I don't want to fall into this. And I went on a trip to LA, and I like cold turkey doxy, and that was the beginning of senior year. That was not even like middle of senior year. So let's go February 2022, and that was like my first time like dabbling in like something pretty strong. Then May of 2023 comes. I leave my long-term relationship. I started hanging out with some people, started like playing poker. Surprisingly fucking good at poker. I love poker. They definitely fed into an addiction. We started drinking a lot, started smoking a lot more weed. And it was like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Imagine like all of May, June, which that's June is like the end of June is where it gets worse. And we're just like drinking all those 4 or 5 days a week nonstop. Like I have work, I would walk into work like with scars because I was playing like a game, and I blacked out and I bounced on the stone in my patio, and I had a fucking scar like all the way down here. It was insane. Towards the end of June, me and my mom got into a fight, and it was about weed, and I had actually stopped smoking weed at that time. Like I minimized my usage. I was drinking more, but I was smoking less. And she got mad at me. She was like, no, like you're fucking smoking weed. I was like, Mom, I'm not. Like, trust me. Like, and I wasn't. Like, I actually wanted to stop and like get away from that. And we got into a fight, and they kind of just like went away after a little bit. Then one day, I go out for my friend's graduation party. That was the first time I ever did cocaine. And that was the first time I met my now ex-girlfriend. These two are like big in the last year and a half. As I get home, I'm like, where the fuck were you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Blah 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 blah. She did one of the things that I hated the most, is being compared to my biological father. It was a comparison my mom made to me every time I would do like the slightest thing wrong. Like she's like, you're just like your biological father. And hearing that from like the age of 10 to like the age of 20 kind of just builds like something in your head. And she compared me to that man, and I broke. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be in this house no more. I went to sleep, woke up early as hell, went to work, left work early. I told my boss, I was like, hey, I got kicked out of my house. I'm not staying here. Like, I don't even know if I got kicked out of my house, if I left. That's how like angry I was, and I just kind of like blacked out. And I was like, you know what? I don't even want to like be in this house. After that, I got home, packed all my shit, had a friend, my friend Josh, still friends with him to this day. He picked me up, went to his house. He was like trying to hype me up. Like, you know, I had just been crying. I had been fucking upset. I didn't even think about grabbing my passport, my social security number, nothing. I just packed the suitcase, packed the duffel, and left. So this girl Phoebe is the one that I had just hooked up with, and her friend Neil, our friend Neil, he called me and said, yo, like, why don't you come up to Albany? Like, come and stay with us, and come in, you stay with us for a little bit, like we get you a job, we get you situated, like we could do some stuff up here. And I was like, all right. My friend Neil, he got sick that weekend, so when I got up, I ended up staying with her. I was like, you know what, I'll leave my stuff here. and when he gets better, I'll end up moving back to his apartment. And I never did. I ended up staying with that girl in her apartment for like 2.5 months, and in that time we were drinking, smoking. Like, I ended up building a relationship with this girl, and I like back at it, it's like a trauma bond, because she was there when I like most needed it. Like, at the time I was fighting, I didn't have a home, all these things. And oh fuck. uh and she was there. She was there. She helped out. Like, all those people that were in that group, like, they know who they were. They know who they are. um they all helped out in their small little ways. And I came back down like 2 weeks later, for a friend's party, and I was like, you know what, Dad, like, I want to talk. Like, can we figure stuff out? Like, what's gonna happen here? And they got home. Like, I was waiting for them at the couch. They got home, and they like ignored me. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm not. It's not worth me like trying to have a conversation with them. They clearly ignored me. They didn't want to have it. So I'm packing up like my final bits of stuff, and my mom comes downstairs like yelling, and she starts yelling at Phoebe, who's the one that drove me down. She's yelling at her, and I was like, there's no need to yell at her. Like, she just like drove me here. Like, that's it. And I'm having a conversation with my parents, and it's like a screaming match. My mom told me, she's like, your dad has a heart condition. And like, I stopped, and my dad like looked at her, and he was like, it's not the time. Like, this is not what we're supposed to be talking about. And no matter how hard it was for me to hear that, I was so blinded by the anger that I had towards like both my parents for like it was more like anger to my mom for the constant comparisons to my biological father, that like left me to just like, you know what, fuck it. I don't want to be in this house. I don't want to be in a house where I have to be reminded of somebody else, somebody that I'm not. And she was like, if you leave, you're never coming back. I was like, okay. She like, leave your phone. I was like, here, take this shit. I don't need it. I left. I'm like crying up the entire drive up with Phoebe, and crying this car. It's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know what the fuck's going on. All confused, all scared. But I was like, you know what? I could figure this shit out. I could make my life something. I'll do something. Go back up, and again, like another week and a half goes by, and I like no text from my mom, no text from anybody. I got a phone. Eventually one day she calls me, and we talk. Like, she wanted to fix things. Like, obviously, I don't think she wanted to lose her son as much as I didn't want to lose my family. And we talked, and things are a little better. Things are good. I told her I was still staying up, and I told her, I was like, hey, I'm still gonna like live up here in this, like, for the summer. I got a job. I'm gonna work. Like, I'll get some money, and then I'll come back down for college. That was the plan, and that's exactly what happened. But in the meantime, it was more drinking. Every day was like I was high, I was drunk, I was something. And then starting August is where I like started picking up more drugs. Like, the last, I think, 3 weekends of August, we were doing blow all the time. Like, there's a shit ton of cocaine being done. Maybe not a shit ton of cocaine to them, but to me it was a lot, because that was probably like my second, third time ever doing it, ever since I mentioned earlier that was my first time. And it felt good. It felt really good to do cocaine. It felt like I felt happy. Like, it kind of like got me to a point that I'm actually like very happy. This makes me feel good. And I didn't think of like I'm slowly building an addiction. Like, I was like, I could quit whenever I want. Like, as everybody says, like, we can quit whenever the fuck we want. And it didn't seem to be that after a while. It kept getting worse. I kept doing more drugs and more drugs. Then I started mixing like Xanax with the cocaine, and smoking weed and alcohol. Like, it was so much shit being done at the same time that there was one point, I think after Halloween weekend, my brain had enough, and I had a crazy withdrawal. I am driving down from Halloween weekend. I got in my car, got a Red Bull, fill up my tank, and I'm on my way home from Albany. And after a while, like after I finished the Red Bull, my body was like, yo, we need to take a piss. I pull over, take a piss. I sit back down in that car, and I'm bawling. I just start crying. Like there was nothing that triggered like for me to start crying. I just started fucking crying and just nonstop crying and crying. I think it was there for like 45 minutes. I was just there crying. And after I was like, you know what? I gotta go back home. My parents were waiting for me. My sister was waiting for me. Like, I gotta go. And like suicidal thoughts started to like pop up in my head. And I was like, I'm in the perfect like place to kill myself. Like, I'm in a car. This could be like a twist the fucking steering wheel one way and we hit a car. Something could fucking happen. Or there was like a little bridge that I was going to, and I was like, you know what? I could fucking do it right here. And as my brain was like, you know what? This is what we're doing. Like, for some reason, I didn't think I could have just walked away and said, hey, we could be okay. I kind of just said, fuck it. This is it. Like, I don't want to do this somewhere. And as I'm about to fucking turn the steering wheel, my fucking tire pressure light goes on. Like, it goes low tire pressure. And I was like, I kind of like woke me up. It was like, what the fuck? What was I about to do? Like, why am I on the verge of like trying to kill myself? I'm not the most religious person. I'm not like, let's say, somebody that goes to church every Sunday. But I do believe in like a God and a higher power. And I think that to me was like, that was a sign. I was like, that happened the instant that you were gonna do something fucking stupid. And that's probably one of the reasons that I am here right now. Because of that little stupid tire pressure, my tire completely went out. I ended up staying at a gas station for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, waiting for the tow truck and waiting for my friends to come pick me up. And I ended up staying another week in Albany. And in that week, me and my mom going at it, like yelling at each other, screaming. I remember like this. I'm pretty sure on my phone there's like I see the conversation. There's like a fuck you. She was like, fuck you. I'm sick and tired of everything that you do. Like, I drove my mom to the point that she like felt like she had to talk to me this way. And that's when I at that point I still didn't realize how bad things were for me, or the things that I was doing. November, I tried to go sober. I would still like smoke weed and drink, but I wouldn't do hard drugs. Like, I wouldn't do coke or Xanax. I fucking relapsed in December 1st of 2023. Fucking oxy again. It felt necessary. It felt okay to be done, and I just did it. Like, didn't think twice about it. Just did it. Got into a fight with my girlfriend. Bunch of stupid shit. Did Xanax during the 31st of December for like New Year's. Got into a fight with my girl. It's so much shit. Like, I still wasn't picking up that it was the drugs that were making me like angry or something. And then little on, like, I stopped doing coke for a little bit. And in February, I ended up getting some psychiatric help. Like, my mom contacted a psychiatrist in Colombia. Me and him started talking. He diagnosed me with like depression and anxiety, and he gave me medicine, like antidepressants and anxiety pills. And I didn't take them. Like, I just did not want to take them at all. And I took them for a little bit and I stopped. Then I picked them up back again. I was like, I don't like the sleeping one, because it was something like an antipsychotic, but it's only an antipsychotic after a certain amount of milligrams. So like, with the percent that they were giving me, it was 25 milligrams that they were giving me. For it to be an antipsychotic, it has to be above 400 milligrams. And I was stressing over like, nah, this is something that's gonna like alter my brain and all this, all that. And I was just being stupid. I was also being misled by my ex-girlfriend. She was just telling me a bunch of things. She was like, no, like that's not supposed to be what you're taking. Like, none of the medicine that they're giving you, you're supposed to take. I was like, okay. So I like kind of like just listened to her. And I stopped taking the stuff. I lied to my psychiatrist and said, no, yeah, I'm still taking my stuff. A lot of my mom, a lot of my parent, like my dad. Then comes fucking May. May was probably like the worst month of my life. The start of May, me and my ex get into a fight. Not even a fight. Like I was just like, you don't treat me like your boyfriend anymore. Like you don't talk to me. Like you take forever to respond. Like you don't tell me anything. Like I felt like I was being punished for caring. Mind you, I went broke for this girl. I would take trains from Penn Station all the way up to Albany. I was taking them like every other week. Very expensive. I was dropping money that I didn't have. I owe people money. Owe all that. And she like kind of stopped seeing me. Like I felt like she stopped seeing me as her boyfriend, and I like called her out on that shit. I was like, I don't feel okay. Like I feel like you're not treating me like as who I'm supposed to be and who I am to you. And she was like, yeah, like I'm sorry, I've been slacking. And I like saw like positive. I was like, you know what? She's accepting this. Like she's understanding that she's doing this. And she was like, let's just go no contact for like 3-4 days. Let's just not talk, figure out some stuff and come back to each other, because I was coming up for her graduation. And during the time that we were in no contact, that's when I contacted my biological father and talked to him, and I was resolving things. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back to her like a new man. I'm discovering, like, I'm talking to people that I thought were issues in my life and figuring out all these things. And when we got back, we fucking argued and just got mad, and it was over some stupid shit again. And she like got mad at me. We were like silent for like 3 hours. We're driving to her mom's house. She's cleaning, and I was like, do you need help? She didn't even respond. I was like, all right. So I sat on the couch, waited, and then we drove back home. And once we pulled up into her house, she kind of like just started talking, and we started talking. And when she was done with like what she said, I was like, she's not gonna listen to anything I say from here on out. So I just shut the fuck up, and I was like, yeah, I'm okay, whatever. She graduates, like obviously happy for her. We're going through all the process. Then we're going to her dad's house for her like graduation barbecue. And I got absurdly fucking drunk. Like, and I never got absurdly drunk around her like father. I don't know, he scared me. I just want to be respectful around him, so I never really thought about drinking like that around him. And I got drunk. She got mad at me. She threw a fucking phone at me, and when she threw my own phone at me, which was fucking hilarious. I picked up the phone, and she like walks away. I see her friends like walking behind her, and I was like, oh my god, here I am getting bitched at by everybody. And I'm like texting her, I'm berating. Like I know, like I look back at it and I know I was berating her because I was so pissed. I was like, I had so much held back that I never like let out. Screaming at her through the phone. Eventually, like I walk outside, grab 2 beers, I'm walking around, I twist my fucking ankle, and I come back, I'm crying. My friend Neil comes and grabs me, and like I hug him, and I'm like, bro, like I've done everything that I could. I've done everything for this girl. Like I tried my fucking hardest to make somebody satisfied, and it didn't fucking work. Like my first relationship, I didn't give her that much, and it still ended. And I was like, I'm gonna give this girl everything, and that didn't fucking work out either. We ended up going back to her house after her dad's. We were going to the bar, and I'm like trying to talk to everybody. Her brothers are there. I'm saying things I should not be saying, and we didn't talk. We didn't talk for the rest of the night. We were at the bar together. Me and her didn't talk. Nothing happened. We get back. I'm still drunk. Like sun's coming out. I pass out on her fucking couch. Apparently she covered me with her blanket. All that stuff. Wake up. It's Mother's Day, mind you. Wake up. She was like, let's go. You're trained. I had to pack up my shit because I didn't pack up the night before. pack up my shit. We're arguing on the way to the train. I missed the train. We're arguing on the way back. We're arguing when we get there. She's like, I gotta go to my mom. I was like, all right, go for it. Like, I lost all hope. She had already given up on me, and she didn't see it. And like, I kept fighting for somebody that was just not there. My friend ended up getting me an Uber to the train. I took 2 fucking Trulies on the train. That's, again, an issue. Drinking on the way down. I get home. I'm drunk. I'm like, the appearance that I popped out on my mom, I was drunk for Mother's Day. And I felt so bad, like, after I realized it. And the next 2 weeks were horrible. I kept drinking. I wasn't even smoking nothing. I was smoking cigarettes. I was smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day. And eventually one day I got drunk and I texted her and I was like, because it was a bunch of no contact, and if we did have contact, it was just fighting. So then we'd agree for a few more days of no contact. And one day I texted her and I was like, I hope you know that everything I did was because I loved you. And that was the day that we ended up breaking up. May 24th, we ended up breaking up. And I just started doing stupid shit after the breakup. I got on like dating apps and all these things, and I was drinking and I was doing all the things that she like wanted me to fix so that we could get back together. A week later, I leave to fucking Greece, and I'm thinking, you know what, this can be the start. When I get back, I'm gonna start brand new, get a job, fix everything. And that's not entirely what happened. On like the 4th to last night, I ended up going to the club. And I'm on my like my antidepressant, which I already told you, like, makes me fucking tolerant to fucking all forms of alcohol. Like, I could fucking drown and I would still be okay. And at one moment I like blacked out. I had smoked weed. I blacked out and I go downstairs to the bathroom. And I think mentally I was like, I need cocaine. And I think somebody came up to me and offered it. And that's all I remember. After that, everything blacked out. I ended up at a jacuzzi. Then after that, I got a towel. I'm going to sleep. I wake up and I'm back at my parents' Airbnb. And I was like, okay, cool. The next day, well, that same day that I got back, because I ended up getting back at like 9 o'clock in the morning. Get back. I was supposed to go out that night as well. And as I'm sitting down at the bar, my ex, Phoebe, she sends me a note of like her like apologizing or whatever it was. I think I still have it. It was so like backhanded. It was like compliment, you did this wrong, compliment, you fucked up here, and I was just like, all right, whatever. And then I finished that note. I finished my drinks at the bar, and my mom calls me. She's like, get out of that bar, get in a taxi, come home. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, what happened? She's like, get in a taxi or I'm gonna come pick you up right now. She's like, get in a fucking taxi. I get in a taxi. I get back up there to the Airbnb I get now. She calls me into her room. And she tells me, she's like, what the fuck did you do last night? And I was like, partied, I drank, I smoked. And she's like, what else? And I was like, I did coke. God knows what I fucking did. I don't even think it was coke that I did. And she's like, I hope you know that there's some people that want to fucking kill you. And I was like, what do you mean? There's some people that want to kill me. And she's like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck you did last night. You were arguing with somebody. You were flipping tables. Somebody wants to kill you. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, you're lucky that the person that we're with has the connections, like, and was able to stop that. But there's people that were after you, and I was so fucking paranoid for the last 3 days. Like, I was wearing glasses, hats, everything. I felt like a narco, like when they know that they're about to get fucking caught. And I'm like looking at every entrance. Like, if I was if this was Greece, my head would look everywhere but where I was, but to who I was talking to or where I'm supposed to be sitting at. I was so paranoid. I didn't feel peace until I touched, like, JFK. Not even on a plane. Like, I was fucking paranoid, petrified, everything. And right after, like, my mom tells me that shit, I go to bed. I wake up and she comes and she's like, I'm sorry for screaming and yelling at you and all these things, but like I'm nervous. I'm scared for you. I don't want you to fall into this. And I was like, Mom, it's too late. I already fell into these things. I was at that point, I was a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I never wanted to like admit that. But the one person that told me those words and it hurt the most were my ex-girlfriend. And she said those words to me during our fight at her barbecue. And I was like, you know what? Okay. Or maybe I am an alcoholic and a drug addict. And when my mom like talked to me, she's like, what's up with you? And I was like, Mom, I am a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I want to stop. I want help. And I don't want to like the drugs, but I do. They make me feel comfortable. They make me feel okay. Like, I feel okay when I do these drugs. And she was like, okay. Like, I didn't want to hear that. And I was like, I know. I didn't want to tell you that. I never thought it'd get to this point. And she sent me off to rehab in Colombia. And God, can I tell you that was the best fucking thing that has ever happened to me. Rehab was by far like the awakening moment in my life. I spent a month and 9 days in rehab, and I learned so much. It was probably the greatest time of my life. Like, it was so needed. I disappeared on everybody. I didn't tell anybody that I was going besides my ex. Which she ended up telling everybody anyways. All the people that I'm no longer friends with didn't text me. They didn't say anything. They didn't check up on me. I disappeared. And you know, you'd expect your friends to like text you and be like, hey, like, it's been 2 or 3 weeks. Like, where are you? Nobody texted me. Some people did, and I'm still friends with those people. And then 2 friends that I thought, like, we were gonna go, like, to the grave together. Like, we were gonna go all the way. They're, like, pressing me for disappearing. They're like, why is your location off? And the other one goes, if you're not gonna talk about the problem, not talking about the problem is not gonna fix it. And I was like, this is what you tell your friend? After 3 weeks of him disappearing, you haven't gone to his mom's house, because nobody went to my mom's house. They didn't even say anything to my mother. They didn't ask. And I fucking flipped out when they gave me my phone for the first time in rehab. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm spilling everything. I don't care. I got messy. I started posting shit on Instagram. I started throwing subs at everybody. Because one of my psychologists, she was like, you avoid conflict. I was like, oh, word? Watch this. So I go and like pick a fight with everybody, and everyone's like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with you right now, but I hope you find your peace. And I was like, nah, I found my peace. I'm just calling you out of your shit right now. And right now I'm definitely like this like crazy like lunatic in their eyes that went to rehab. But they have no idea that shit pushed me to a point that I know who my real friends are. I have 2 friends. I call them, I have more friends, but there's 2 assholes that have been with me since the 8th grade. It's fucking Jeffrey and Tristan. And they were the first ones to like try to stop me from doing anything, and I just didn't listen. And they were the first ones like that were happy for me when I told them that, because they were the ones that knew I was like, yo guys, I'm going to rehab. Like, I don't want you to think I'm just fucking disappearing. Like, I'm going away. And those guys have been like the people that have like held me together. They're like the glue that I have with me right now. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would have made it out. And Jeffrey was able to call me every Tuesday and Thursday, and I was like, that was like my contact to the outside. He would just tell me everything, and it was nice hearing his voice and like knowing that I had a friend when I got out. But we're fucking nerds. We play League of Legends. Like, and that's not leaving anytime soon. Like, I feel comfortable. Like, I was at a point that with the other friend group, they're like, you play League of Legends? I was like, all right, never mind. I don't play this shit no more. And it's like things like that. Like, if you are not comfortable with the things that you do and make you happy, you're never gonna be comfortable. Like, even if you're faking it for other people, you're never gonna gain that satisfaction that you think you're gonna gain from being friends with that person or that group. Just find the 2-3 people in your life, and those dickheads are the ones that are gonna make your life worth living, and you're gonna have those people for a long time. Or that's all I can give. I think it should never change. You know, we started college, finally got that love for architecture, because in that meantime I did lose it. I lost like all of me. I stopped working on my clothing brand. I stopped working on architecture. Like, everything just like got lost. And now I'm doing everything that I wanted to do. I'm happy. I got a job. I'm back in college. Like not just back in college because I never left, but I'm back in college with like motivation, with wanting, and I got my brand back from working on stuff for them. Working on me, being happy. Like, it's been the focus of like this semester has just been my peace, and I have found that. I'm like reconnecting with a lot of people that I hadn't talked to in a while, and it's actually been really good and really satisfying being like sober. I'm actually, today's date is what, the 25th? Something like that. 4 months and 24 days sober. And shit, like, we're just gonna continue with that and see how that goes. But no urges to like drink and smoke and do drugs. Like, I've actually been out to parties too. Like, I've been to frat parties. I went to a frat party, Columbia, Adelphi, and knowing that that's where I used to like consume the most. No urges, nothing, not even to drink. I've just been having a lot of fun. The more I tell my story, I feel like the more peace I find with it. Because there was a point that I would be like, nah, I don't want to tell anybody that. Like, that's, nah, let me not. And the more I said it, the more I regret it. And the more I'm like, you know what, thank God I'm not in that position. I'm not doing that shit again. And fuck, it's led me to do everything that I've done today. So I don't fully regret it. Thankfully, I'm here.